Story 1, Homer Hitler. Our story begins in the town of Springfield. A very serious police officer had a knock on his front door. However, what he saw would scare anyone. The police officer, still looking serious, suddenly heard a knock at the door. He got up to answer it, revealing a peculiar trio on his porch. The first person was Homer Simpson, but with a strange twist. He was dressed in a Nazi uniform, complete with a fake mustache, and introduced himself as Homer Hitler. Next to him stood Jimmy Fallon, the famous late-night talk show host, who was grinning from ear to ear. "Hey, officer. We're here for the, neighborhood watch meeting." The police officer raised an eyebrow, skeptical of the unlikely duo. "I wasn't aware of any meeting scheduled for today. And, what's with the unusual attire, Homer?" Homer Hitler proudly puffed out his chest. "I'm trying out a new look, officer. It's all about, historical reenactment." Jimmy Fallon chuckled nervously. "Yeah, and I'm here to, provide some moral support." The police officer shook his head, unsure what to make of the bizarre situation. "Well, I suppose you can come in. But please, try to keep things somewhat normal." As they entered the house, the police officer couldn't help but wonder what other surprises the day might bring. As Homer Hitler, Jimmy Fallon, and the police officer navigated the haunted house, they stumbled upon a creepy room filled with cobwebs and flickering candles. Suddenly, Homer's eyes glowed red, and he let out a menacing laugh. "Welcome, fools, to my domain." Homer cackled, his voice dripping with malice. Jimmy and the police officer exchanged nervous glances. Homer, what's going on?" Jimmy asked. But Homer just laughed maniacally, his eyes burning with an otherworldly intensity. And then, everything went black. Story 2, President Chomp. It was a wild and crazy day in the small town of Kilwins, where the smell of freshly baked pizzas and cookies filled the air. President Chomp and former President Obama walked into Kilwins Pizzeria, greeted by the friendly staff and the sound of sizzling pans. As they entered, a gang of awesome bikers, led by a tattooed Homer Simpson, rode into the pizzeria on their Harley-Davidsons. The bikers were covered in blood and gore, having just come from an intense battle with a rival gang. President Chomp, known for his love of meat, ordered the meat lovers half of the pizza, loaded with pepperoni, sausage, bacon, and ham. Obama, on the other hand, opted for the Mediterranean half, topped with feta cheese, Kalamata olives, artichoke hearts, and sun-dried tomatoes. As they waited for their food, the bikers began to wreak havoc on the pizzeria, smashing tables and chairs, and covering everything in even more blood and gore. President Chomp and Obama watched in awe as Homer Simpson, still covered in blood, began to devour an entire pizza by himself. Their food arrived, and they dug in, savoring the flavors and textures of their pizza. President Chomp declared the meat lovers half the best pizza he'd ever had, while Obama praised the freshness of the ingredients on his Mediterranean half. As they finished their meal, they ordered a dozen assorted cookies for dessert, including chocolate chip, oatmeal raisin, peanut butter, and snickerdoodle. President Chomp joked that he'd need to build a wall around his stomach to keep the cookies from escaping. The staff at Kilwins Pizzeria laughed and smiled as the two presidents enjoyed their meal, despite the chaos and destruction caused by the bikers. As they left the pizzeria, President Chomp turned to Obama and said, "That was a tremendous meal, believe me. The best." Obama smiled and replied, "I couldn't agree more, Mr. President. It was a truly American experience." As the two presidents and the bikers, led by Homer Simpson, were leaving the pizzeria, a strange and ominous figure appeared in the distance. It was Adolf Hitler, dressed in his full Nazi regalia, and he looked like he meant business. But to everyone's surprise, Hitler didn't come to cause trouble. Instead, He pulled out a small, glowing portal device and activated it. The device opened up a shimmering portal, and Hitler stepped through it, beckoning everyone else to follow. "Come, my friends," Hitler exclaimed. "Let us leave this mundane world behind and enter a realm of wonder and magic. Let us compete in the Great Pony Games." The two presidents, the bikers, and even Homer Simpson exchanged skeptical glances, but something about Hitler's enthusiasm was infectious. They stepped through the portal, and found themselves in the colorful world of Equestria. From the popular animated show My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic. Twilight Sparkle, Pinkie Pie, Applejack, Rarity, Fluttershy, and Rainbow Dash welcomed the newcomers with open arms, and explained the rules of the Great Pony Games. The games consisted of a series of fun and challenging events, such as the Pony Sprint, the Magical Obstacle Course, and the Cutie Mark Relay. The two presidents, the bikers, and Homer Simpson formed teams with the ponies, and competed against each other in the games. President Chomp and his team, which included Rainbow Dash and Pinkie Pie, excelled in the Pony Sprint, while Obama's team, which included Twilight Sparkle and Rarity, dominated the Magical Obstacle Course. Homer Simpson, who was teamed up with Applejack and Fluttershy, surprised everyone by showing off his impressive belly-flopping skills in the Cutie Mark Relay. Hitler, who had teamed up with the villainous Discord, proved to be a formidable opponent in the games, but ultimately ended up getting disqualified for using his mind control powers to cheat. In the end, every pony and every human had a wonderful time competing in the Great Pony Games, and they all left Equestria with big smiles on their faces and a newfound appreciation for the magic of friendship. As they stepped back through the portal and returned to the real world, President Chomp turned to Obama and said, "You know, I never thought I'd say this, but I think we just had a more enjoyable time with Hitler than we did at our last press conference." Obama chuckled and replied, "Well, Mr. President, I think we can both agree that the Great Pony Games were a real game changer." As they returned to the real world, they found themselves back in the Kilwins pizzeria, surrounded by the delicious smell of freshly baked pizzas and cookies. The staff and customers applauded as the two presidents, the bikers, and Homer Simpson walked in, still grinning from ear to ear. President Chomp turned to Obama and said, "You know, I think we make a pretty good team. We should do this again sometime." Obama smiled and replied, "I'd like that, Mr. President. But next time, can we please leave Hitler at home?" President Chomp chuckled and said, "Deal. And maybe next time, we can even convince him to trade in his Nazi uniform for a pony costume." The two presidents laughed and shook hands, as the crowd cheered and chanted USA! USA! Meanwhile, Homer Simpson walked over to the counter and ordered a dozen donuts, saying donuts. The cause of, and solution to, all life's problems. The staff at Kilwins Pizzeria laughed and handed Homer his donuts, as the scene faded to black. Homer then pulls out a gun and shoots everyone. Story 3, The Evil Jew Rag. I found this strange, tattered rag in the Springfield dumpster behind Moe's Tavern. It had a weird symbol embroidered on it, and it smelled like a mix of cigar smoke and despair. I showed it to Homer, and he freaked out, saying it reminded him of his grandma's old cloth. Later that night, I received a strange package with a Grand Theft Auto-style video game inside. The game was called Grand Theft Springfield, and it featured Homer as the main character. But something was off. Homer's eyes were black as coal, and his voice was like a demonic whisper. As I played the game, I noticed a recurring theme: the evil Jew rag kept appearing, and whenever it did, Homer's behavior became more erratic. He'd start coughing up mucus, and his dialogue would turn sinister. The game took a dark turn when I reached the final mission. Homer's goal was to collect a bunch of mucus-filled items, and the evil Jew rag would guide him through the streets of Springfield. The game glitched, and Homer's face distorted into a grotesque, inhuman visage. Suddenly, my TV screen flickered, and the words,
The rag has you appeared in bold, blood red letters. I tried to shut off the game, but it wouldn't turn off. The screen went black, and I heard Homer's voice, whispering, "You should have left the rag alone." The next morning, I found my TV shattered, and the game console was gone. Some say on certain nights, you can still see Homer's twisted face on the Springfield streets, clutching the evil Jew rag, searching for his next victim.
Story 4, Samuel Gomper's Homes. Hello, dear reader. You may be wondering who I am, but that's beside the point. I need to tell you about the horrific place known as Samuel Gomper's Homes, located at 450 North 6th Street East St. Louis, Illinois 62201. My story begins a few months ago. I needed to visit an important business meeting in St. Louis. However, I needed somewhere to stay for about a week. Unfortunately, I had no money left as I had spent it all on low-quality fentanyl. Hoping to resell it for a profit, I was forced to look for the cheapest option on Airbnb, but then, I found it. A pristine apartment at Samuel Gomper's Homes. The images looked wonderful. It had sparkling chandeliers, a banquet room, and many similar luxury amenities. Surely the images couldn't have been doctored, I thought. I immediately booked a room for 7 days. Little did I know, this would be a fatal mistake. Day 1. When I arrived at my apartment, there was a complimentary honey pack at the front door. I was pretty hungry, so I decided, why not take it? Upon entering the apartment, everything seemed normal. It was slightly less spacious than was pictured, but everything else was there. Sparkling chandeliers, a banquet room, even a bidet. It all appeared as if it was real. I immediately decided to take an entire package of Benadryl and went to sleep. I was awoken from my deep slumber by gunshots in the middle of the night. When I woke up, I realized that all of the decor had mysteriously disappeared. I saw a dark creature walk out with the bidet and realized, I made a mistake. The only thing left was a broken mini fridge, my bed, and the empty package from the honey pack. However, when I looked outside the window, nobody was there. It was then that I realized that you shouldn't mix honey packs with Benadryl. I tried going back to sleep, but it was practically impossible as I could still hear gunshots. No wonder the rent here is so low. After the sleepless night, I spent the entire day watching Instagram reels of people getting hit by cars until I passed out. Day 2. Today was the day I realized something was clearly off. I hadn't used the bathroom in over 24 hours, but I now suddenly had a serious urge to use it, which is when I realized the horrors that lie within. After opening the bathroom door, I noticed the toilet had been taped shut, and quite frankly, I didn't want to know the reason why. Then, I opened the shower curtains. What I saw in front of my eyes still haunts me to this day. It was so putrid that there are simply not enough words in the English language to describe it. Above the tub was written an ominous note, Homer Schitzen was here. After processing the horrors in front of my eyes, I realized it was a better idea to find somewhere to use the bathroom outside. However, within 2 seconds of walking out of the front door, all of my belongings were stolen, except my phone, as it was an Android. Let's just say, I no longer had to use the bathroom after this. Day 3. I once again woke up to gunshots. I then received a phone call from my company, informing me that the meeting had been cancelled. Thank God, I thought. But then, I realized, the contract I signed on Airbnb. It read, "Dear guest, you are not allowed to leave the Gompers grounds for 7 days or else a curse will be placed upon you." What the freak? I thought. How am I going to get out of this? I sat in my room all day plotting how I could survive the remaining days. Day 4. As I had gotten used to the constant gunfire, I slept quite well, until I was awakened by my hungry stomach. I had not eaten anything since day 1. That was when I noticed the smell of the so-called Gomper stew. It smelled like something in between roadkill and steaming garbage. In the main courtyard, the friendly folks of the Samuel Gompers' homes were gathered around a cauldron of a substance of dubious origin. The liquid had a consistency similar to gravy, and chunks of Gompers' meat were visible. Chef Gompers then offered I try a ladle of the Gompers' stew. Upon trying this concoction, I truly felt gomped up for the first time in my life. However, that is when the withdrawals hit. The soup was laced with highly addictive narcotics, and unknown strains of marijuana that could only grow in the putrid swamp known as Samuel Gompers' homes. I was pretty starving, and after eating a few more spoonfuls of the Gompers' stew, I passed out from a drug overdose. Day 5. After around a day, the Narcan that was included in the stew hit me, and I awoke in the Gompers' dungeon. Homer Shitzen was there. He told me I have one goal: I must complete the Gompers' trials in 48 hours or else a fate worse than death will come upon me. I then asked him, what are the Gompers' trials exactly? I was met with silence. My first objective seemed simple: survive 7 days in the hit video game, 7 Days to Die. However, when I sat down at the Gompers' dungeon gaming station, I noticed something strange. The game title wasn't 7 Days to Die, it was 7 Days to Die Gompers Editions, and when I tried to look up any information about it, I got 0 results. After creating my character and starting a new game, I saw a chilling message. It said on the screen in blood red letters, "Find Homer Shitzen's favorite block or die." I tried to ask Homer Shitzen what his favorite block was, but I was met with no response. I frantically started going into every virtual house, trying to not die, and breaking every single block I saw. I quickly became over-encumbered, and zombies started viciously attacking me. This is when I realized they had realistic gun mods installed, and I grabbed the realistic gun off of the realistic 4K floor to shoot all the zombies. After this terrifying altercation, I decided to visit Trader Joel. However, when I got there, his name was Trader Evil and he had blood red eyes and sharp teeth. Trader Evil exclaimed, "What do you want?" I then asked him where the location of Homer Shitzen's favorite block was. He replied, "You must find it, or else you will die." I tried to ask him another time, and this time he responded, "You must destroy all old beer sold here signs across the map to get your reward." He then gave me a map of all of the locations where I had to destroy the signs. It was already day 2 in game, so I had to hurry. Homer Shitzen carefully watched over my back, examining the clock that was slowly ticking away at the top of the screen. When I discovered the first old beer sold here sign, I almost fainted. It read, "Evil beer sold here." The day lengths appeared to be set to be very long, so at this point I had been playing for 12 hours in real life time. I managed to break the last sign before dawn, and was rewarded with Homer Shitzen's favorite block. It was twice the size of normal blocks, and was uneven and dark brown, with the texture resembling bricks. Homer Shitzen then pushed me away from the computer, and told me to move on to the next challenge. Day 6. Homer Shitzen told me I needed to complete one Gompathon. You must run 1 lap around the Gompers' grounds, being careful to not step outside of them. Reluctantly, I went out of the dungeon and began running. I had to avoid a constant stream of stray bullets, while not slowing down and maintaining a running speed. Thankfully, last night, Homer Shitzen gave me 1 Homer bar, which has just enough calories to make it so I can run around the grounds. It was quite challenging, and I had to be very mindful of not stepping into used needles and broken glass, but in the end I succeeded. Day 7. The final challenge was the most terrifying of them all. Homer Shitzen told me that to escape the Gompers' grounds, I must defeat the ghost of Samuel Gompers himself. I started trembling, as I was really scared of this. Samuel Gompers entered the Gompers' courtyard and proceeded to let out a blood-curdling scream and then yell, "I am Samuel Gompers and I am going to kill you." Homer Shitzen then gave me 1 illegally modified Glock with a switch, which I had to use to kill the ghost of Samuel Gompers. Unfortunately, Samuel Gompers' ghost was very ghostly in nature, and all the bullets fired right through him. The ghost of Samuel Gompers had me in a chokehold, which was when I noticed something. In his mouth, he had his signature Gomper cigar, and was most likely dependent on the heavy amounts of ghostly nicotine stored within it. I proceeded to take the Gomper's cigar out of his mouth, upon which his ghost started rising into the sky. "No. I don't want to leave," yelped Samuel Gompers, but it was too late. Then, a stray ghost bullet hit him as he was going to heaven, and he immediately started falling and went to super hell. I did it. I survived 7 days at Samuel Gompers' homes. Homer Schitzen let me go with a golden star and a warning, to not ever return to Samuel Gompers' homes.
Story 5, Walter White and the Evil Dollar Bills. The dimly lit room was shrouded in an eerie silence, the only sound the soft rustling of paper as Walter White's fingers flew across the stacks of dollar bills. His eyes gleamed with an unsettling intensity as he counted, his voice a low, menacing whisper. $901 bill, $902 bill, $903 bill. As the hours ticked by, the air in the room grew thick with an almost palpable sense of malevolence. The shadows on the wall seemed to twist and writhe, as if alive and feeding off Walter's madness. Suddenly, the lights flickered and died, plunging the room into darkness. Walter's whispering ceased, and an oppressive silence fell over the room. Then, a faint, otherworldly glow began to emanate from the stacks of dollar bills. The bills themselves seemed to be moving, squirming like living things. Walter's eyes glowed with an unnatural light as he reached out a trembling hand to touch the bills. $904 bill, $905 bill, $906 bill. He whispered, his voice now a chilling, unearthly hiss. Just then, a menacing, guttural laugh echoed through the room, and a figure emerged from the shadows. It was Evil Simpson, his eyes blazing with malevolent fury as he strode towards Walter. First name Evil, last name Evil. Middle name Simpson, first name Simpson, last name Evil. Bart Simpson, the evil one, he growled, his voice dripping with malice. I've come to join you in your pitiful counting game, Walter White. Walter's eyes narrowed, his voice taking on a deadly tone. What do you want, Evil Simpson? Evil Simpson sneered, his face twisted in a grotesque grin. I want to count with you, Walter. I want to feel the power of the dollar bills coursing through my veins. And with that, Evil Simpson began to count alongside Walter, their voices rising and falling in a maddening cadence. $1,000 bill, $1,001 bill, $1,002 bill. The counting never stopped. It went on forever, echoing through the twisted, nightmarish realm that Walter's madness had created. And in the heart of that realm, Walter and Evil Simpson sat, their eyes aglow with an otherworldly light, forever trapped in their own hellish cycle of counting, as the dollar bills consumed them, body and soul.
Story 6, richpiano.exe. In the depths of the internet, where shadows hide and caution goes to die, I stumbled upon a file that would change everything. richpiano.exe seemed harmless enough, a fitness program promising gains and glory. But as I clicked to download, a sense of foreboding whispered in the darkness. Little did I know, I was about to unleash a horror beyond the confines of my computer screen. I downloaded richpiano.exe from a shady forum, thinking it'd be a harmless fitness program. But as soon as I ran it, my screen flickered with images of Rich Piana's intense workout videos. At first, it seemed like a weird screensaver. Then, the messages started. You will never be big. Your gains are an illusion. The words scrolled on my screen, taunting me. I tried to close the program, but it wouldn't budge. The fitness videos turned dark. Rich Piana's face distorted, his eyes black as coal. He whispered, "You'll never escape the gym." My keyboard typed out strange workout routines on its own. I couldn't shut down my computer. The program had taken control. Rich Piana's voice echoed in my head, pushing me to exercise non-stop. I felt my muscles burning, my body screaming for rest. The only way out was to give in. I had to work out till exhaustion. And when I finally collapsed, the screen went black. The last message read, "No pain, no gain, eternal." My computer was found empty, the words richpiana.exe etched into the keyboard. Some say I'm still trapped in that digital hell, forced to work out forever. Don't download richpiana.exe. The gains aren't worth it. Story 7, The Lost Crossover. I still remember the day I stumbled upon the urban legend about the lost Simpsons x Seinfeld crossover VHS tape. It was supposed to be a mythical recording of a bizarre mashup between two of America's most iconic sitcoms. Many claimed it didn't exist, while others whispered about its dark and unsettling content. I never believed I'd actually find it, but my curiosity got the better of me. After months of scouring thrift stores, garage sales, and dusty attic auctions, my persistence finally paid off. Tucked away in a worn cardboard box labeled VHS tapes, "Do not use," I found a single VHS tape with a faded label that read Simpsons x Seinfeld crossover, "Do not watch." My heart skipped a beat as I carefully placed the tape into my old VCR. The static-filled screen flickered to life, revealing a scene that seemed almost plausible: Jerry Seinfeld sitting in Monk's Cafe, chatting with Homer Simpson about donuts. But things quickly took a turn for the absurd. Homer's antics became increasingly erratic, and Jerry's patience wore thin. In a shocking moment, Jerry pulled out a gun and shot Homer point blank. I gasped, unsure of what to make of this bizarre scene. The camera cut to George Costanza, who suddenly let out a loud, wet flatulence that filled the room. Kramer's shocked face appeared in the background, his eyes wide with horror. The scene repeated on a loop, with Jerry shooting Homer and George's flatulence growing louder and more potent. I felt a sense of unease as the tape continued to play, the characters' actions becoming more and more surreal. As the tape reached its end, the screen flickered and went black. I was left staring at the static, my mind reeling from what I had just witnessed. I ejected the tape, feeling a sense of unease. The room seemed darker, the air thick with an unsettling energy. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off, that the tape had somehow seeped into my psyche. I tried to shake off the feeling, telling myself it was just a weird TV special that someone had created as a joke. But the image of Jerry shooting Homer and George's ear-piercing flatulence lingered in my mind. I couldn't sleep that night, my dreams filled with visions of the Simpsons and Seinfeld characters in twisted, disturbing scenarios. The next morning, I received a strange package with no return address. Inside, I found a single VHS tape with a label that read Part 2. I hesitated, unsure if I wanted to see more of the disturbing crossover. But my curiosity got the better of me. As I inserted the tape into the VCR, I couldn't help but wonder what other bizarre scenes awaited me. The screen flickered to life, revealing a scene that made my blood run cold. The characters were still trapped in the same loop, but their actions had become even more twisted and disturbing. I watched in horror as the tape continued to play, the characters' antics becoming increasingly surreal and nightmarish. I couldn't take it anymore. I ejected the tape and threw it away, but the images lingered in my mind. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had unleashed something dark and malevolent into the world. Some say that if you watch the tape too many times, the characters will seep into your reality, forever trapped in that twisted loop of violence and flatulence. I've tried to avoid VHS tapes ever since, but sometimes, in the dead of night, I still hear the sound of George's flatulence echoing in my mind. And I wonder if I'll ever be able to escape the horrors of that lost Simpsons x Seinfeld crossover tape. Story 8, Whoopi Goldberg. The Springfield town hall was shrouded in an eerie darkness. Whoopi Goldberg and Jerry Seinfeld, their eyes glowing with an otherworldly energy, stood at the podium. Homer Simpson, oblivious to the danger, stumbled in, searching for donuts. Suddenly, Whoopi's voice boomed, "Welcome, Homer, to your doom." As she spoke, her body began to contort, twisting into grotesque, inhuman poses. Jerry's eyes turned into voids, sucking in the light around him. Morty Seinfeld, Jerry's nephew, appeared, his eyes wide with terror. "Uncle Jerry, what's happening?" Jerry's voice was a low, menacing growl. "We're not your uncles anymore, Morty. We're the devourers of worlds." Sheldon Cooper, standing in the shadows, calculated the probability of survival. Given the entity's powers, I'd estimate a 0.0000001% chance of escape. As Whoopi and Jerry began to transform into eldritch abominations, Homer's dough turned into a scream. The Simpsons world was consumed by an eternal darkness, with Whoopi and Jerry's maniacal laughter echoing through the void. In the end, only Sheldon's voice remained, whispering, "I told you so." Story 9, Crazy Rich Asians. Crazy Rich Asians is a romantic comedy novel by Kevin Kwan, adapted into a film in 2018. The story revolves around Rachel Chu, an American economics professor, who travels to Singapore with her boyfriend, Nick Young. As they meet Nick's family and friends, Rachel discovers that they are part of an extremely wealthy and traditional Singaporean elite. The novel and film explore themes of cultural identity, social class, and the challenges of navigating different worlds. Rachel must confront the expectations of Nick's family, particularly his mother, Eleanor, who disapproves of Rachel's background and wants Nick to marry a woman from their social circle. The story is known for its humor, satire, and commentary on the excesses of the ultra-rich, as well as its portrayal of Asian American identity and experiences. The title Crazy Rich Asians refers to the outrageous lifestyles and antics of the wealthy characters in the story. In the context of our horror story, the Crazy Rich Asians element adds a layer of satire and social commentary to the traditional horror tropes, poking fun at the excesses of the wealthy and the pressures of high society. The Simpsons family arrived at Evil Sandler's haunted estate, invited by the enigmatic billionaire, Pikelin Go. As they stepped out of their modest vehicle, they were greeted by Pikelin's luxurious ride and her friends, Rachel Chu and Nick Young, who were sipping champagne. "Welcome to the most exclusive haunted house in Singapore," Pikelin said, flashing her diamond-encrusted smartphone. Evil Sandler's promised an unforgettable experience. As they entered the mansion, Sandler emerged, dressed in a twisted designer suit. "Ah, the Youngs and their friends. I've been expecting you. Let's see how you handle my special brand of terror." Rachel, accustomed to navigating high-stakes situations, took charge. "We'll survive this, Nick. We just need to use our business acumen and outsmart Sandler." Nick nodded, but his eyes widened as Sandler led them to a room filled with gold-plated torture devices. "This one's called the Astrid Leong Challenge. You'll have to endure exquisite pain while maintaining impeccable fashion sense." Meanwhile, Homer became obsessed with the mansion's opulent decor. "Marge, look. Solid gold toilets. I'm never leaving." Marge, however, found herself trapped in a room filled with designer handbags that seemed to come to life, each one more demanding than the last. "Stop. I'm a soccer mom from Springfield, not a fashionista." As the night wore on, the group encountered Sandler's twisted takes on Singaporean landmarks, from the gardens by the bay to Marina Bay Sands. with their combined wealth, intelligence, and quick thinking, they outwitted Sandler's minions and eventually faced off against the demonic billionaire himself. In the climax, Pikeland used her vast knowledge of luxury real estate to trap Sandler in a never-ending loop of property listings, while Rachel and Nick worked together to disable the mansion's security system. As they escaped, Homer turned to Marge and whispered, "You know, that was one expensive haunted house. But worth it for the gold toilets alone." Sandler's maniacal laughter echoed in the distance. "You'll be back, for more of my special brand of crazy rich terror." As the Simpsons family and their friends navigated the haunted mansion, they encountered more surreal and humorous challenges. Pikeland's expertise in luxury real estate proved invaluable as they dodged ghostly interior designers and avoided rooms filled with tacky decor. Meanwhile, Homer's love of food led him to discover a kitchen filled with an endless supply of Michelin-starred dishes. Foie gras and truffles. I'm in horror heaven. However, as they progressed through the mansion, the challenges became increasingly absurd and satirical. Sandler's minions forced them to participate in a series of ridiculous games, from pin the tail on the luxury handbag to musical chairs with designer labels. Rachel, ever the voice of reason, rolled her eyes at the antics. "This is getting ridiculous. We're not here to play games, we're here to survive." Nick, however, found himself enjoying the absurdity. "Come on, Rachel, lighten up. It's just a little crazy rich fun." As they neared the end of the mansion, they encountered Sandler's final challenge, a room filled with clones of themselves, each one more over the top and ridiculous than the last. Pikeland's clone was a giant, inflatable version of herself, while Nick's clone was a parody of a 1980s music video. The group worked together, using their unique skills and strengths to defeat the clones and escape the mansion. As they emerged into the bright sunlight, they shared a laugh at the absurdity of it all. "Well, that was a wild ride," Homer said, chuckling. "But next time, can we just stick to a normal haunted house?" Sandler's maniacal laughter echoed in the distance. "You'll be back, for more of my special brand of crazy rich horror." As they walked away from the mansion, Pikeland turned to the group and said, "Well, that was a night to remember. I'm glad we survived evil Sandler's haunted house. After all, we're crazy rich Asians, we can handle anything." Rachel chuckled and replied, "I think we just leveled up in crazy rich Asian survival skills. Who needs a spa day when you can face demonic clones and designer-clad zombies?" Nick nodded in agreement. "Definitely a crazy rich Asians experience I'll never forget." Homer, still shaking his head, muttered, "I'm just glad we made it out alive. That crazy rich Asians haunted house was no joke. I'm sticking to donuts and TV from now on." Marge patted him on the back. "Don't worry, dear. We'll stick to more normal vacations. No more crazy rich Asians horror shows for a while." As they drove away, Bart turned to Lisa and whispered, "You know, that was kind of cool. Maybe we can come back and do it again sometime. Crazy rich Asian style, of course." Lisa rolled her eyes good-naturedly. "I think we've had enough crazy rich Asians craziness for one night, Bart." Meanwhile, evil Sandler watched from the shadows, already planning his next move. "Those crazy rich Asians thought they could defeat me. Ha! I'll show them the true meaning of crazy rich Asians, and terror." His maniacal laughter echoed through the empty halls of his mansion, as he began to plot his next diabolical scheme. The legend of Crazy Rich Asians' haunted house would live on, striking fear into the hearts of all who heard its name. Story 10, The Silence of the Funk. Whimsical retard Griffin was known for his harebrained schemes and general mayhem. One day, he convinced Abernathy Seinfeld, Swanson, Ophelia Seinfeld, and Racer to join him on a wild adventure. Their mission? To break into the Mystery Shack's gift shop and steal all the novelty socks. Griffin was convinced they'd make a fortune selling them online. As they snuck in, Racer's superpower of having Down syndrome proved surprisingly useful. His attention to detail helped them avoid security cameras, and his friendly demeanor charmed the shopkeeper into giving them a tour. However, things quickly took a turn when Griffin got stuck in a giant novelty sock display. Abernathy tried to rescue him but ended up getting tangled in a mess of socks and inflatable unicorns. Meanwhile, Swanson and Ophelia Seinfeld got distracted by the Shaq souvenir fridge magnets and started a heated debate about which design was the most collectible. Racer, patiently waiting, began rearranging the socks into alphabetical order. Just as they were about to get caught, Griffin's antics triggered the shop's sound system, blasting "Who Let the Dogs Out" and causing everyone to dance wildly. The security guards, caught off guard, couldn't help but join in. The group managed to escape with a stash of novelty socks, but not before Griffin accidentally superglued his shoes to the floor. As they made their getaway, Abernathy quipped, "Well, that was a socking good time." Racer chuckled and said, "Hey, at least we got the socks." Griffin, still stuck to the floor, grinned and replied, "This is going to be a soulful adventure." In the eccentric world of Quahog, a rivalry brewed between whimsical Craig Swanson, a self-proclaimed art connoisseur, and retard Griffin, the lovable but awkward pottery enthusiast. Swanson, known for his flamboyant fashion sense and scathing critiques, sneered at retard's ceramic creations, calling them tacky and amateurish. Retard, fueled by his passion for pottery and cherry sours, ignored Swanson's jabs, focusing on perfecting his craft. One fateful day, the Quahog Art Council announced a prestigious pottery competition, with the winner receiving the coveted Golden Clay Award. Swanson and Retard both entered, determined to prove their superiority. Swanson submitted a sleek, modern piece titled Ephemeral Dreams, while Retard presented a unique, ceramic sculpture dubbed Cherry Sour Explosion. The judges were divided, with some praising Swanson's technical skill and others admiring Retard's raw creativity. As the judges deliberated, Swanson ridiculed Retard's piece, calling it a mess and an insult to art. Retard, unfazed, offered Swanson a cherry sour, saying, "Maybe you're just not sweet enough." In a shocking twist, the judges declared Retard's Cherry Sour Explosion the winner, citing its unbridled enthusiasm and joyful chaos. Swanson stormed out, muttering, "The art world is blind." As Retard accepted the Golden Clay Award, Brian Griffin, who'd been watching from the sidelines, quipped, "I guess you could say Retard's piece was fruitfully absurd." The crowd erupted in laughter, and Retard beamed with pride. The rivalry between whimsical Craig Swanson and Retard Griffin had only just begun, with each side determined to outdo the other in creativity, humor, and sheer audacity. The people of Quahog couldn't wait to see what absurdities would ensue. Retard Griffin and whimsical Craig Swanson embarked on a new adventure, competing in the Quahog talent show. Retard decided to perform a dance routine to his favorite song, the Chicken Dance. Swanson, on the other hand, chose to recite an avant-garde poem about the absurdity of modern life. As the talent show began, Retard's dance routine quickly devolved into chaos, with him flailing his arms and legs wildly while shouting "Gloopity bloopity." Swanson's poem, however, was met with confusion and applause from the audience. Just as the judges were about to announce the winner, Retard's dance partner, a chicken named Cluck Norris, escaped from the stage and began chasing Swanson around the auditorium. The audience erupted into laughter, and the judges declared Retard and Cluck Norris the winners due to their unpredictable entertainment value. Swanson, despite losing, was impressed by Retard's creativity and suggested they collaborate on a new art piece. Retard agreed, and they created a masterpiece titled Chaos Reigns Supreme. The piece became a sensation in Quahog's art scene, with critics praising its unbridled absurdity. And so, Retard and Swanson continued to create chaos and art together, proving that even the most unlikely of friends could make beautiful music, or, in this case, beautiful messes. After the success of the Quahog talent show, Retard Griffin and whimsical Craig Swanson's art piece Chaos Reigns Supreme became a sensation. However, a new threat emerged in the form of Cluck Norris' arch-nemesis, Retard Norris. Retard Norris was once a humble chicken farm egg layer, but a freak accident involving a lightning strike, a can of radioactive bug spray, and a VHS tape of mind control lectures transformed him into a diabolical mastermind. As he grew in power, Retard Norris became consumed by an insatiable desire for conformity and order. He saw the world as a chaotic mess, with absurdity and creativity threatening the very fabric of society. Determined to impose his twisted will, he developed his mind-controlling egg-laying abilities. Retard Norris' lair, hidden deep beneath the farm, was a twisted marvel of engineering. Rows of eerie, pulsing incubators held his loyal army of mind-controlled chicks, each one emitting a hypnotic bok-bok-bok chant. The air reeked of disinfectant and ambition. His ultimate plan, to blanket the world in a layer of conformity, crushing individuality and creativity beneath his heel. Cluck Norris, with his chaotic nature, was the perfect foil to Retard Norris' plans. The epic battle between Cluck Norris and Retard Norris would determine the fate of absurdity and creativity in Quahog. Would Retard Norris succeed in his sinister plans, or would Cluck Norris' unpredictability prove too much for him? Retard Norris began his attack on Quahog, using his mind-controlling egg-laying abilities to turn the townspeople into conformist drones. Retard Griffin and whimsical Craig Swanson knew they had to stop him. Cluck Norris, sensing his arch-nemesis' presence, joined forces with Retard Griffin and Swanson. Together, they hatched a plan to defeat Retard Norris and save Quahog. The battle between Cluck Norris and Retard Norris was epic, with feathers flying everywhere and absurdity clashing with conformity. In the end, Cluck Norris' unpredictable nature proved too much for Retard Norris, and the town was saved. Retard Griffin and whimsical Craig Swanson celebrated their victory with a new art piece, Absurdity Triumphs Over Conformity. Cluck Norris, proud of his role in saving the town, strutted around Quahog, flapping his wings and clucking triumphantly. And so, the adventures of Retard Griffin, whimsical Craig Swanson, and Cluck Norris continued, filled with absurdity, creativity, and epic battles against forces of conformity. After their victory over Clucktron, Retard Griffin, whimsical Craig Swanson, and Cluck Norris returned to their favorite hangout spot, the Quahog Tavern. As they celebrated with a plate of chicken nuggets, Retard Norris' sinister presence loomed in the shadows. Suddenly, the tavern's TV screen flickered to life, displaying a menacing message from Retard Norris: "The Conformity Initiative has begun. Your absurdity will soon be eradicated." The trio exchanged worried glances. Cluck Norris let out a defiant squawk, while Retard Griffin and whimsical Craig Swanson nodded in unison. They knew they had to stop Retard Norris before it was too late. Their investigation led them to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of Quahog, where they discovered Retard Norris' mind control operation in full swing. The air was thick with the hypnotic bok 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 chant, and rows of brainwashed chicks marched in lockstep. Retard Griffin, whimsical Craig Swanson, and Cluck Norris charged into battle, ready to face whatever conformity-driven horrors awaited them. The fate of Quahog's absurdity hung in the balance. Boob-ass Henry, the lovable but slightly dim-witted Quahog resident, had been secretly working on a new invention, the Absurdity Amplifier. This device could potentially counteract Retard Norris' mind control eggs and restore individuality to the brainwashed chicks. Unbeknownst to Retard Griffin, whimsical Craig Swanson, and Cluck Norris, Boob-ass Henry had been sneaking into the abandoned warehouse at night, trying to sabotage Retard Norris' operation. However, his bumbling nature often led to more chaos than progress. As the trio prepared to face Retard Norris, they stumbled upon Boob-ass Henry, who was frantically trying to fix his absurdity amplifier. "Guys, I think I'm close. This thing could change everything," he exclaimed. Retard Griffin, whimsical Craig Swanson, and Cluck Norris exchanged skeptical glances, but they knew they needed all the help they could get. "Okay, Boop-ass, let's see what you've got," Retard Griffin said, and the unlikely allies charged into battle together. As they face off, the absurdity amplifier malfunctions, causing unpredictable chaos throughout the warehouse. Brainwashed chicks start breakdancing, Retard Norris minions begin reciting Shakespearean sonnets, and Cluck Norris starts playing the harmonica. Meanwhile, Boop-ass Henry frantically tries to fix his invention, while Retard Griffin and whimsical Crack Swanson use their unorthodox skills to take down Retard Norris hench chickens. The battle rages on, with absurdity and hilarity reaching new heights. The device envelopes Daniel Tiger, who was coincidentally visiting the warehouse, and transforms him into Daniel Tiger, master of absurdity. With newfound powers, Daniel Tiger joins the battle, using his iconic song-style thinking to outsmart Retard Norris minions. Retard Griffin, whimsical Crack Swanson, Cluck Norris, Boop-ass Henry, and Daniel Tiger form a circle, hands clasped, and shout in unison, "Let's do this time." As they do a synchronized friendship handstand, the warehouse erupts in a kaleidoscope of colors and sound effects. Confetti cannons blast, and a giant, flaming absurdist sign descends from the ceiling. Retard Norris, caught off guard, stumbles backward, his mind control eggs shattering on the floor. The brainwashed chicks, freed from their trance, start breakdancing to an epic DJ set. The gang lands their handstands, grinning from ear to ear. Time to put an end to Retard Norris conformity plans once and for all. Retard Griffin declares, "White Kodunke Bliasanjugkasan Katen, or RWHY for short, is Daniel Tiger's best friend from kindergarten. RWHY has a unique ability to communicate through an impressive array of nonsensical sounds and gestures." As the gang prepares for the final showdown with Retard Norris, RWHY bursts into the scene, making enthusiastic bleep bloop beep boop noises and waving his arms wildly. Daniel Tiger excitedly greets RWHY, and the two friends share a heartfelt high-five. RWHY's arrival sparks a chain reaction, and the warehouse erupts in a joyful cacophony of sounds and colors. Retard Norris minions, confused by the absurdity, start to question their conformity. Retard Griffin, whimsical Crack Swanson, Cluck Norris, Boop-ass Henry, Daniel Tiger, and RWHY form an unstoppable team. RWHY's bizarre language skills somehow disrupt Retard Norris mind control technology, giving the gang the upper hand. Together, they launch a hilarious and chaotic attack on Retard Norris Fortress. RWHY's gleep gleep glorp sounds shatter Retard Norris confidence, and the diabolical chickens' plans for conformity are foiled once and for all. The gang celebrates their victory with an epic dance party, and RWHY's nonsensical sounds become the soundtrack to their absurd adventures. As the gang prepares to face Retard Norris, they realize that his mind control technology is based on a complex system of neural oscillators and feedback loops. Neil deGrasse Tyson, the astrophysicist, joins the team and explains the scientific principles behind Retard Norris technology. The mind control eggs emit a specific frequency of sound waves that synchronize with the brain's natural oscillations, Neil explains. We need to disrupt this frequency to break the mind control. Sheldon Cooper, the brilliant but eccentric physicist, suggests using a device that generates a counter frequency to cancel out the mind control signal. It's basic physics, people, Sheldon says. We can use the principle of superposition to create a destructive interference pattern. Meanwhile, Bill Nye the Science Guy arrives with a contraption that looks like a giant tuning fork. This device can generate a resonance frequency that will disrupt the mind control signal, Bill explains. Sheldon Badass, an alternate universe version of Sheldon Cooper, bursts in and declares, "I've calculated the exact frequency needed to disrupt the mind control. It's a simple matter of applying the principles of quantum mechanics." With the scientific team in place, they launch a coordinated attack on Retard Norris Fortress. RWHY's nonsensical sounds, amplified by Boop-ass Henry's absurdity amplifier, create a chaotic frequency that disrupts the mind control signal. As the mind control is broken, the brainwashed chicks regain their individuality and join the gang's dance party. Retard Norris, defeated, retreats to his lair to rethink his conformity plans. The gang celebrates their victory, with Neil deGrasse Tyson explaining the science behind their success. It's a perfect example of how science and absurdity can come together to save the day. Young Sheldon, the brilliant and eccentric child prodigy, joins the gang and starts analyzing the mind control technology. "Mother, I've been studying the schematics, and I believe I can improve the counter-frequency device," young Sheldon says, holding up a complex diagram. Sheldon Cooper, his older self, looks at the diagram and nods. "Ah, yes, young Sheldon, you've applied the principles of Fourier analysis to optimize the frequency cancellation. Well done." Young Sheldon's device, combined with Bill Nye's resonance generator and Boobass Henry's absurdity amplifier, creates a powerful tool to disrupt Retard Norris mind control. RWHY's nonsensical sounds, amplified by the device, become the key to breaking the mind control. As the gang celebrates their victory, young Sheldon starts calculating the probability of Retard Norris' return. "Based on my analysis, there's a 74.32% chance that Retard Norris will attempt to reform his conformity plans within the next 48 hours. The gang nods, ready to face whatever challenges come next. Neil deGrasse Tyson smiles. Science and absurdity have saved the day once again. Let's keep exploring the universe and having fun. Suddenly, the warehouse is filled with 100 Jerry Seinfelds, each one quirky and humorous in their own way. They start cracking jokes and making witty remarks about the absurd situation. "Hello, Newman," one Jerry Seinfeld says, waving at an imaginary postal worker. "Not that there's anything wrong with being a chicken," another Jerry Seinfeld quips, nodding towards Cluck Norris. The gang is entertained by the 100 Jerry Seinfelds, who start incorporating their comedic skills into the battle against Retard Norris. "You ever notice how conformity is like a puffy shirt?" one Jerry Seinfeld asks, chuckling. "It's all about fitting in, but ultimately, it's just a bunch of hot air." The 100 Jerry Seinfelds join the gang, bringing their signature humor and satire to the fight against absurdity and conformity. The gang gathers around Mr. Krabs, who's bending over to adjust his anchor-shaped belt buckle. Retard Griffin excitedly points to Mr. Krabs' ass crack and shouts, "Dude, let's calculate the hypotenuse of that." Whimsical Craig Swanson chimes in, "But, guys, we need to know the length of the adjacent and opposite sides first." Sheldon Cooper nods. "Yes, and we'll need to apply the Pythagorean theorem, a superscript 2 plus b superscript 2 equals c superscript 2. Neil deGrasse Tyson raises an eyebrow. "I'm not sure this is a suitable application of trigonometry, folks." Meanwhile, the 100 Jerry Seinfelds start cracking jokes. "You ever notice how Mr. Krabs' ass crack is like a mathematical problem? It's all about finding the right angle." Bill Nye the science guy intervenes, "Okay, let's get scientific here. We'll need to measure the angle and the lengths of the sides. Anyone have a protractor and a ruler?" RWHY starts making nonsensical sounds, which Boobass Henry interprets as "use the Krabs-o-meter." As they attempt to measure Mr. Krabs' ass crack, things get absurd. Cluck Norris starts flapping his wings, causing the measuring tape to flutter away. Daniel Tiger starts singing a song about triangles. In the end, they manage to calculate the hypotenuse, but it's a ridiculous number, 427.32 Krabs units. Mr. Krabs looks back, confused, and says, "Me hearty, what's all the fuss about me ass crack?" The gang bursts into laughter, and the 100 Jerry Seinfelds quip, "Well, it's not about the math, it's about the absurdity." As they journey through the land of numbers, they encounter various obstacles, including treacherous fractions, puzzling patterns, and brain-twisting brain teasers. Along the way, they meet new allies, such as a wise old mathematician who teaches them about the power of algebra. Meanwhile, retard Norris, the diabolical chicken, is hot on their heels, determined to get his claws on the golden calculator and use its power to control the world's math problems. The gang must work together, combining their unique skills and knowledge, to outsmart retard Norris and reach the golden calculator first. Will they succeed, or will retard Norris' evil plans come to fruition? As they venture deeper, they encounter strange creatures, such as the fraction monsters, who can morph into different forms depending on the numerator and denominator. They also meet the pattern pixies, who weave intricate designs using numbers and shapes. Retard Griffin exclaims, "Whoa, look at that Fibonacci sequence spiral. It's like a math-based work of art." Meanwhile, the 100 Jerry Seinfeld's crack jokes about the absurdity of it all. You ever notice how numbers can be like people? Some are whole, some are fractions, and some are just irrational. Neil deGrasse Tyson nods. The universe is full of mathematical patterns and structures. It's awe-inspiring to explore and understand them. As they journey through the land of numbers, they come across a mysterious portal that leads to the Garden of Equations. The portal is guarded by a wise old mathematician who says, only those who can solve the equation of the ancients can pass through. The gang gathers around, eager to take on the challenge. Retard Griffin suggests using brute force, while whimsical Craig Swanson recommends a more creative approach. Cluck Norris cracks his knuckles, ready to take on the challenge. Boobass Henry starts scribbling equations on a chalkboard, while Daniel Tiger sings a song about variables and constants. RWHY makes nonsensical sounds, which Neil deGrasse Tyson interprets as a hint about the equation solution. Sheldon Cooper and Sheldon Badass engage in a heated debate about the best approach, while Bill Nye the Science Guy explains the importance of algebra in solving the equation. The 100 Jerry Seinfeld's crack jokes about the absurdity of it all. As the gang enters the Garden of Equations, they're greeted by a massive equation that stretches across the sky. X squared plus y squared equals z squared. Retard Griffin exclaims, "Whoa, that's a big one. I think I can solve it." Whimsical Craig Swanson chimes in, "But wait, we need to find the values of x, y, and z first." Cluck Norris cracks his knuckles, "Don't worry, I've got this. I've been practicing my math skills." Boobass Henry starts scribbling equations on a chalkboard, while Daniel Tiger sings a song about variables and constants. RWHY makes nonsensical sounds, which Neil deGrasse Tyson interprets as a hint about the equation solution. Sheldon Cooper and Sheldon Badass engage in a heated debate about the best approach, while Bill Nye the Science Guy explains the importance of algebra in solving the equation. The 100 Jerry Seinfeld's crack jokes about the absurdity of it all. As they work together, they start to uncover the secrets of the Garden of Equations. They discover hidden patterns and relationships between numbers that help them solve the equation. After some intense calculation and problem solving, they finally arrive at a solution. X equals 3. Y equals 4. Z equals 5. The gang cheers, and the Garden of Equations transforms into a beautiful landscape filled with mathematical wonders. But their journey doesn't end here. A mysterious figure appears, holding a cryptic message. The matrix of madness awaits. Can you solve the ultimate puzzle? The gang arrives at Funkhouse's Popalicious Manor, a mansion filled with wacky contraptions, secret passages, and absurd artwork. Upon entering, they discover that Funkhouse's prized possession, the legendary golden funky chicken, has gone missing. Retard Griffin exclaims, "Oh no. The golden funky chicken is gone. What's gonna happen to Funkhouse's funky vibes?" Whimsical Craig Swanson dramatically declares, "We must find the golden funky chicken." The fate of funk itself hangs in the balance. Cluck Norris cracks his knuckles and says, "Don't worry, I've got this. I'll cluck my way to the bottom of this mystery." Boobass Henry scratches his head and asks, What's the plan, guys?" The gang begins to investigate, searching high and low for clues. Neil deGrasse Tyson examines the scene scientifically, while Sheldon Cooper uses his genius-level intellect to analyze the evidence. Bill Nye explains the physics behind the various contraptions, and the 100 Jerry Seinfeld's crack jokes about the absurdity of it all. As they search, they stumble upon a series of wacky clues, including a trail of feathers, a cryptic message scrawled on the wall in funky font, and a suspicious-looking door with a sign that reads, "Beware of the Funky Monkey." Panic erupts. The gang frantically dashes away from the door, fearing the wrath of the Funky Monkey. Retard Griffin trips over his own feet, whimsical Craig Swanson dramatically flails his arms, and Cluck Norris lets out a mighty bok 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 as he sprints. Meanwhile, Poop-Ass Henry gets stuck in a nearby revolving door, and Daniel Tiger starts singing a frantic song about running away from the Funky Monkey. Neil deGrasse Tyson tries to rationalize the situation, while Sheldon Cooper yells, "We're not going to outrun the Funky Monkey. We need a plan." The 100 Jerry Seinfelds, however, seem unfazed, cracking jokes about the absurdity of the situation. Funky Monkey. More like Funky Menace. As the gang flees, they stumble upon a hidden room. Neil deGrasse Tyson's cosmic connection sparks a debate among the gang. Sheldon Cooper scoffs, "That's absurd. The universe's expansion has nothing to do with the Funky Monkey's lair." Meanwhile, Bill Nye chimes in, "Actually, the principles of physics that govern the universe's expansion could be applied to the Funky Monkey's contraptions." The 100 Jerry Seinfelds quip, "You know, it's like the universe is expanding, and so is our confusion about the Funky Monkey's motives." As they bicker, they stumble upon a hidden panel with a cryptic message, "The Funky Monkey's secret lies in the harmonics of funk." Daniel Tiger starts humming a funky tune, and whimsical Craig Swanson begins dancing. Suddenly, the room starts vibrating to the beat. The room is now grooving to Daniel Tiger's funky tune. The gang starts dancing, and Cluck Norris breaks out his signature funky chicken moves. Whimsical Craig Swanson spins plates, and Poop-Ass Henry plays an air bass solo. Suddenly, the Funky Monkey's face appears on a screen, laughing maniacally, "You think you can outfunk me? Bring it on, dudes and dudettes." The gang ramps up the funkiness, and the room starts to glow with an otherworldly aura. Neil deGrasse Tyson nods, the harmonics of funk are aligning the particles in the room. Sheldon Cooper exclaims, "This is ridiculous. We're solving a mystery, not hosting a funk party." But even he can't resist the infectious beat. As the gang continues to funkify the room, Crab Simpson bursts in, sporting her signature grungy style and attitude. "What's all the hubbub about? I heard there's a party going on here." Retard Griffin excitedly greets her, "Crab, you're just in time. We're trying to outfunk the Funky Monkey and find the golden funky chicken." Crab Simpson smirks, "Funk, huh? I'm all about the raw, edgy vibes. Let's get this party cranking." She joins the funky jam session, adding her own brand of rebellious flair. The 100 Jerry Seinfelds crack jokes about her grungy style, while Neil deGrasse Tyson observes, "Crab's energy is generating a fascinating harmonic resonance." Crab Simpson starts shredding on an electric guitar, adding a face-melting solo to the funky mix. The room becomes a psychedelic dance party, with whimsical Craig Swanson spinning glow-in-the-dark plates and Poop-Ass Henry waving a neon-lit funk flag. The Funky Monkey's lair is now a swirling vortex of funk, with the gang's energy fueling the madness. Cluck Norris starts doing backflips off the walls, while Daniel Tiger's funky tune reaches a fever pitch. Suddenly, the golden funky chicken materializes in a flash of light, surrounded by a halo of funky aura. The Funky Monkey's voice booms, "You passed the funk test. Now, claim your prize." But Sheldon Cooper intervenes, "Wait, we need to analyze the funky harmonics and..." The gang cheers as Crab Simpson's funkiness merges with the golden funky chicken's aura. The room erupts in a kaleidoscope of colors and funky vibes. Sheldon Cooper, still trying to analyze the situation, gets funkified himself and starts dancing uncontrollably. Neil deGrasse Tyson nods, the funk has reached critical mass. With the golden funky chicken in hand, the gang decides to have a funk party forever. Funk House's Popalicious Manor becomes the epicenter of funk, attracting funk lovers from everywhere. Retard Griffin exclaims, "This is the most epic adventure ever." Whimsical Craig Swanson adds, "And we get to keep the funky vibes forever." The gang's funky vibe suddenly drops as they realize the gravity of the situation. The golden funky chicken's glow flickers ominously as the silence's dark energy spreads. Cramp Simpson's guitar riffs take on a menacing tone, while Cluck Norris's dance moves become a primal warning. Neil deGrasse Tyson's voice is laced with foreboding. The silence isn't just a threat to funk, it's a force that can drain the soul. As they approach Disco City, the air grows thick with dread. The streets are empty, the disco balls shattered, and the once vibrant nightlife reduced to a haunting silence. Whimsical Craig Swanson whispers, "What if we can't defeat the silence? What if the funk is lost forever?" Sheldon Cooper then says in a somber tone, "It's lost media."
If you enjoyed that video, please make sure to like and subscribe, or else you might not survive.